Welcome back, everybody, to episode 5 of the Hollerachia podcast. Once again, coming at you live, or heavily edited and pre-recorded from the WSKV Pickup Country 104.9 Irvin studio. So thanks again to Ethan Moore for opening the space up for us. This is such a great, great space to facilitate these kind of conversations and this dialogue. And I'm just really fortunate to have him as a friend and somebody that's really supporting us. So shout out to WSKV. But today, got another heck of a guest, coming at you here. And actually, this guy and I go way back. We've been buddies since over 20 years, man. It's been a minute. And he's killing it out there, aggressively touring. You've had a couple European tours. It's phenomenal, the kind of things he's accomplishing and the kind of exposure he's getting. But today I have Mr. Aaron Boyd.
Hello.
So, what's up, buddy?
Oh, man.
It's good to see you. I appreciate you coming out. I said, whenever this podcast got started, and I was, you were obviously one of the first people to pop in my mind. I want to get you in here and stuff. One, just for, I'm a fan of your music, first and foremost. Two, and plus, we're friends going back to high school, and we used to roll around together and stuff. But it's just, I'm impressed and, proud of you, just how successful you've been out there on the road, man. And just to see that kind of the work you're doing and just kind of the influence you're having, and like overseas even, so how many Euro tours have you been on? Has been 2?
Yeah, technically 2. Although the first one, I wouldn't really call it a tour. I released my sophomore album, and a promoter from a festival reached out and asked if I would come over and play. And I was like, I didn't have my passport. I didn't have any of this stuff, and I but it's always been a goal to go overseas and play music. So I was like, yeah, man, I will. I was like, but I got to figure out if I can get a passport in time, and so I agreed to it, and I flew over, and I ended up being over there for like 5 days or something. Played that festival, and then played at a couple record stores of folks that I've met through the years that have been buying albums and whatnot.
Was this around the UK, or where was that?
That was Take Root Festival in Netherlands.
Yeah, I know that this last league you went to the Netherlands too, because you have a big fan base in the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. And it's so strange because that place is it's probably about the size of Kentucky, maybe even smaller.
Probably is,
but like I can't remember what it is, like 14 million people or something.
Yeah,
it's
dense.
There's a ton of people. But yeah, so went over there for that, and I was cool with it. Like I was like, okay, if I never do anything else, like I accomplished the goal of playing overseas. And Take Root Festival was really cool, man. It's all their festivals they do over there indoors.
Really?
Yeah. So there are 6 stages. Different size stages, different. So imagine just like a massive building with different theaters in it, okay?
Okay.
Different size theaters.
Right.
And they have these places, and so touring acts will come through, and they'll put them in whichever theater is the right size, you know what I'm saying?
It's just, okay, yeah. Okay.
So at the festival, everybody's in this building, and it's just huge, man. And so, like, the artists are all staggered, so you bounce around to different stages and whatnot. And so through that, I met my agent, who I now work with over there, and went on my first official tour this past October.
Okay, so that explains, because I know you have made a trip out there twice, and I know, like, I can remember where I saw you talking about it. It might have been social media or something, but maybe your analytics show like how much of an influence you do have over there and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, man. It's not only just you, but it's just like the entire Americana scene, and it's like this folk and this country and this current Renaissance era of mountain music. It's just kind of but it's got such an impact over there. Dutch areas, the UK. It's even like there's like Malaysia or something. Like there's a pocket in Asia too that's like heavily influenced by Americana music.
Japan even. And I kind of like think of it like the British invasion in the 60s with America.
That's a good comparison.
America was obsessed British music for a point in time, and that's kind of what we're going through right now. And we're kind of all riding the coattails of like Childers and Stapleton, mainly probably Stapleton, because
he was certainly a trendsetter. He kind of opened that.
He kind of opened the door, and then everything else, that there was a lot of great music happening that kind of started to flood in after that, and so we're still riding that wave. I feel like.
For sure. Yeah, and that's actually a good comparison. Actually, and the American counter invasion, you know.
Yeah. You know, and it's funny too, because like even the artists over there really love this kind of music, and like you were talking about Jack.
Yeah, I love Jack, man. He's a great guy.
Jack Browning, he kind of does the same kind of music that we do over here.
He does, and he's got such a good feel, ear, and then like ability to like navigate that genre. To be from the UK, you know,
Jack's a good people person too.
Yeah.
Like he's good at, and that's where a lot of artists fall short, myself included. Is like a lot of us just really aren't people. You know what I'm saying? Like we just like to make music. But Jack's very good at navigating, talking, you know, working through his other arts to like reach different places, you know, and it's all about connecting with other people. The more you can do that, the more you can connect and kind of branch out.
Yeah, it's certainly important. Well, especially for me, who's not a performer. I'm just kind of in the space, so I kind of have to put myself there. But like I was telling you, I think on Messenger, you know, I'm just blessed to be a part of it, man. At its core, I'm just a fan. I'm a fan of the space. You know, I've always hit the venues. I went to all the festivals. I went to all the shows. I went to Borough, Manchester. I mean, I've always hitting up all these, absorbing this content, and now just to be in the space, just, you know, at least propping you guys up, you know, or kind of giving my meager little platform, you know, using that.
We appreciate it, man. All the support you can get is crucial, and it brings in these aspects, which like it's got to be cool to go around and like get different perspectives and from artists and go to different festivals and like be a part of it in that way, you know, and it's all like a big machine kind of. It all kind of operates together.
It does, and like what I love about this scene in particular, you know, and like I said, it might be broader than just like like Kentucky or Appalachia, but what I notice, at least within this music community, is like everybody lifts each other up. It seems like there's not a lot of vying for just like resources and a lot of scratching and clawing and stuff. It seems like, you know, when one lifts up, they kind of use that to lift everybody up. Yeah. And it's really just one big community here, and I love that, man. It's such a wholesome kind of a endearing quality of the music, and just, you know, really just music, art, and culture, everything coming out of this area right now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I won't go down there. I mean, there is a lot of that, but there's also the bad side of it.
I'm sure that exists everywhere too.
Yeah, and but you know, it's not so much with artists in this scene that, at least not publicly, but more so like festivals. There's so many festivals that are happening that they tend to be in competition, which rightfully so. They're a business trying to make money, you know. But I don't know. This is something that like I definitely probably have different views than a lot of folks, but like there's pros and cons to everything. There's pros and cons to this scene right now. Like it's been expanding and growing, and there's been a ton of great things, but there's also all these things that hurt it as well, you know.
Like just kind of just from a competitive standpoint, you think?
Yeah. And you know, like you're like talking about the rest of the world that's kind of looking to this area, that in turn brings out a lot of really great talent and a lot of really great artists. But that in turn saturates the shows, the festivals.
So I guess
you know what I'm saying. There's like
it's a resource pool in terms of exposure and like stages,
supply and demand, pretty much. That's why a lot of artists like myself, I really personally like traveling a lot. Like it's always been something I love. It's not something that I get to do often, but I love being able to work through music, to travel and go to other places where I haven't been, meet folks that I've never met before, and things like that.
Yeah, that would certainly be.
But at some point, you kind of have to like branch out.
Yeah.
If you just try to play here, you kind of wear yourself too thin a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, if you isolate yourself to a region, or you region lock yourself. I mean, yeah, no, I get that too. But I guess it's just. It's the creativity stemming from this area right now, even though there is kind of like a diluted market. It seems like, I don't know what it is, man. It seems like of all the people that's coming out of this area, that's really putting themselves out there, putting content out there, putting, contributing to this space, it seems like just the number of like quality musicians at this moment in time it's unreal. It seems like it's like irregular.
Yeah, and more on the way.
Yeah.
Every day. You know what I'm saying? But this, like Appalachia in general, has always been very immersed in music, and the roots in music run super deep. Like
generationally, man.
Yeah, they run back to, people settling here. That bringing in these instruments, bringing in
that Celtic influence, man.
Yeah,
and down to bluegrass. That's what.
And then on top of that, you add the hardships of living in rural places. Yeah. A lot of joy you can find comes from music, and sometimes not so much your day-to-day life in Appalachia. So people are drawn to that. It's in our blood here too.
Music is so ingrained, and like you said, culturally, just here, and it does go. I mean, it seems like it is such a universal language to this area. I mean, I know you can describe it, music that way in any context. But,
right, yeah.
It seems like here specifically, it's like such a cultural dynamic that it seems like almost an expectation, of these folks around here. And like, looking back, just the storytellers and the writers and the creators and the pickers that have existed for well over 100 years. I mean, they've all just kind of captured that spirit and that tragedy and that beauty of Appalachia, because there's so much of the human condition that exists here.
Yeah.
It just seems like just the getting it out there in that form has always been just kind of an extension of the population that lives here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I said, in Appalachia is a tragedy, man. It's a beautiful tragedy.
It is. It's a beautiful tragedy, and it's a fascinating place, man, because like most people would leave, because there's not a lot here, industry-wise, job-wise, things like that. Most people would leave, but it's also so ingrained in our blood because it's a beautiful place. Like like Daniel Boone said, heaven must be a Kentucky kind of place when he discovered Kentucky. It's just...
Yep.
Appalachia is just beautiful. I've traveled all around the United States, and it's amazing. But like coming home and these mountains are just something else.
Something about these mountains that are just kind of spiritually tapped into not only ourselves, but just kind of the area. I mean, we live in the oldest mountain ranges.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, it's wild that hundreds of million. One of the oldest, geological, landscapes and that has to have something to do with it. I can't quite get out what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It seems like it's just so interconnected with just like life and humanity, and just like, it is. I think that's part of what does make it so rich. And like, even looking at it from a I guess geological standpoint, it's like the Appalachia that we live in is the sister mountains to like the Highlands, the Scottish Highlands, and then the mountains in Ireland. Yep. That's that same mountain range that broke apart.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like the fact that they come over here and they brought that influence and like their instruments and culture and like settled here in these mountains, it's just like a continuation of that same culture. That's cool, man.
The fact that we're living in mountains that were here before the continent split apart is unreal. You were talking to Bolander earlier about artists doing other things and me making jewelry and stuff. And
go into that a little bit.
Those agates that we hunt and find here, dude, like minimum 300 million years old.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Like, this entire place was the ocean whenever those creatures were alive, you know, because a lot of those were like clam shells or whatever. That clam died out over time. It filled up with minerals and then got worked into the mountains that were forming, and over just millions of years and heat and pressure formed into that. So
coal's the same way, and it was such a color.
Coal's the same way. Yep.
It's it's crazy, man. And like we'll kind of circle back to that. You do like your I guess what you call it, side gig, but your other creative outlet, you know, in the jewelry. Yeah, you make some great pieces, man.
Thanks, man.
You really do. I admire it a lot, and I like to kind of explore how you go about it.
Yeah, we'll get into that for sure.
But yeah, that the agate stuff, man, that's such a big hobby around here too. It's something I like to do every time I'm in a creek bed, man.
I never knew what an agate was until I moved here.
Yeah,
and I grew up with you right across those mountains on the other side where there are no agates.
So, they're rich through here. I mean, all these creeks. I mean, well, for one, to be in such a mountainous area, and then two, for to be so many creeks, tributaries, rivers. I mean, just streams. All this places for all this stuff to settle, and it's such a cool thing, and it's something I enjoy doing. I don't do it as often as I used to, but I did. I've not broken apart yet, but I uncovered a rock, man. It's like perfectly round like that. I got little red eyes in it. I was like, man, I gotta break this thing open. I was like, I ain't gonna do it myself. I'm gonna take somebody that can cut it.
Holler. I know some people that can cut it.
I'd love to. I'd like to see what's inside.
Yeah, you can find some in like Black Creek or Hardwicks Creek. My bad. Hardwicks Creek in Powell County.
That's where Christian grew up.
You can find some there. And I think a lot of that was because, you know, Estill County, its slogan or whatever is where the bluegrass meets the mountains, right? So it makes me think that, like, where the bluegrass was at one point was ocean. Yeah. And then those mountains formed, so all those clamshells and stuff got formed into those mountains when they formed. Yep. You know, hundreds of millions of years ago or whatever.
Yeah, speaking of, I mean, like you grew up in Powell, and like you live in Estill now. I guess we are technically sister counties. I mean, as for quality wise and people and population, rival, you know, I guess academic rivals, but at the same time, we're the exact same population. You know, we are sister communities.
I found a lot of differences though, and it's interesting that you even have. But I pay attention to a lot of things, and I think one of the main differences in the two counties is the parkway. Yeah. Believe it or not. Yeah. Because here in Estill County, really the only people that are here are the people that are here. You know, like there's nobody kind of coming through the
families
town.
That have been here.
Yeah. There's nobody kind of moving to this town. But Powell County is a little different in that aspect because you have a major...
it catches a lot of people. Yeah. Well, people coming to visit the gorge, too. It catches that traffic. You know, people that just come and don't leave. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of that. Yeah. But yeah, honestly, the episode 2 is the Sonic Daisies. You know, that sister duo. You need to check them out if you ain't heard them. They're phenomenal. It's just... they popped up at the Battle of the Bands that I judged in Clay City.
Oh, cool.
And
where are they from?
Freaking killed it. Anyway, yeah, they're from Chicago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like actual like urban Chicago. And like how they ended up in here, I'm still unclear on how they ended up in Powell County, Kentucky.
Possibly the gorge, probably.
It has a lot to play into it, yeah, for sure. But yeah, but we catch people like that all the time, and it's crazy what kind of impact the gorge has. So, but I guess that's another big difference between Estill and Powell. It's just simply that gorge influence, man.
Yeah. So, I love Powell County. I know, I grew up there, and Powell County's got so much to offer. Growing, you know, it's like anytime you grow up in a place, you kind of have a little resentment towards it for this or that, you know. And mine was like,
it's a common thing.
Yeah, mine was like drugs and stuff because I felt like we didn't have a lot to do growing up, and we didn't really know any better, and maybe we did, but
that's another common thing, man. Too, like I said, whenever there's an absence of opportunity, the vacuum is filled with drugs. That's just how it is.
Yeah, and so like I moved away, and I lived in Richmond when I got sober for several years. Worked at Sherwin-Williams over there, paint factory. Yeah, and it was great, but working in jobs like that's just like hard for me to do. And you were talking about your hair earlier. It's funny enough. So when I worked at Sherwin-Williams, we got this new boss that came in, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like this military guy, and he was just pretty much an asshole. Like he wasn't even like a cool military guy. He was just like I got a lot of military friends, and they're cool as hell. But this guy was just like kind of pompous and just like
power soaked.
Yeah. And dude, he'd tell me, like, my hair was short, like, because you have to stay shaved for respirators and working there.
Yeah,
my hair was short, but like I would go a week without cutting my hair, a week or two, and he'd be like, "You gonna cut your hair?" I'd be like,
"You gonna pay for it?"
yeah. And that's what started it. And like, so like every couple of weeks, he'd be like, "You gonna cut your hair this weekend?" I'd be like, "Hell no!" And I haven't cut my hair since that day, literally.
So that was your big middle finger to him, then.
Yeah. What do you think about that now, buddy?
That's kind of funny. Actually, like I was telling you before off mic, but it's like mine's kind of a funny story too. It's like the reason my hair is long because I haven't cut it. Spring will be a year. One, I can't grow a beard to save my life, so I can't be one of those
I feel
guys.
you on that one.
So, like, the only alternative is my hair, so it's like. But the reason I didn't get it cut for so long is my barber went to jail. So it's like, so while he was doing his stint in the detention center,
PCDC,
PCDC, man, I was just like, it was kind of getting longer. And by the time he got out and he got sprung out, I was like, I'm just leaning into it at this point, man. So here I am. I got the whole Charles Wesley Godwin thing going on, but I don't know. I'm kind of leaning into it at this point.
Roll with it. I've thought about cutting mine. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Just like for the hell of it, you know what I'm saying?
See, I'm pretty comfortable with it, even in like the different spaces, the different groups. I attend all the meetings and all that stuff. The only place I've felt like uncomfortable having long hair, like up to this point, has been like attending a school board meeting because everybody's just like wearing the polos, it's like sitting straight like that and stuff, and the pencil's out in front of me perfectly. And I was just like, here I am taking a picture. I'm like, what's up, guys? Hey, jump in here,
Yeah.
But no, I'm leaning to, if I grow a beard, I probably have short hair. But that's how but yeah, man, like I do want to kind of go back into your like recovery story and your sobriety and stuff, because like that's such a big inspirational part of not only your own story and your development, but like your music and your creativity. But let's before we move there, let's kind of talk about your jewelry. So what got you into like polishing jewelry, making jewelry, and like what was that process like?
TikTok. I seen somebody doing it on TikTok, and I was like, I could do that shit, I think. And but what got me into it, I guess, though, was so I first learned about agates from being up on Ross's Creek, where kicking it on the creeks at, and I would go out hunting with Kenton, Byron Roberts' son, and I started getting into hunting agates, and like once you finally find one and you start like finding them and you get to cut it open and like it's either really cool inside or not.
Addictive kind of hobby it is.
Cool, and so like I have a friend who's a veteran, and he deals with a lot of like social anxiety, and like so he pretty much doesn't leave, unless he needs to like go to the store, essentially. But his passion is agates. So like he'll hunt agates, he'll polish them like every day. Like every day he's sending me like 6 or 7 pictures of new rocks he's polished, and
that's his whole identity then.
Yeah. So like me and him started working together, and he does all the polishing, and like sometimes I'll find an agate, take it to him, he'll cut it and polish it, or vice versa. And then I buy those from him and set them in silver, and then I sell them. And so it's kind of like a cool little thing we got going, where it like keeps him motivated, keeps him busy, and it brings in money there.
It's therapeutic.
And it is for me as well. Like sitting down and creating like a piece of jewelry is like really cool. Like
it's a cool process. I know a little bit about it. My sister, she's always been, she actually graduated from Moorhead in fine arts. She's immensely talented, like sickeningly talented. How good she is, just at everything she does. She's so good at everything she does. It makes me like I just not want to do anything. I don't want to put myself up against her. I love her. She's great, but she did some jewelry making before, but she did more of the glass stuff. She had the kiln, the mill, and kind of formed all It's a cool process, man.
Yeah, it really is.
And so you find some of your own, and then get it polished, and then like you buy some too, just to kind of resell. So it's kind of more of a
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because my buddy, he doesn't do any silversmithing or anything. So I used to do wire wraps way back in the day when I wore tie-dye T-shirts a lot. I did. I went through a phase for several years when I was smoking a lot of weed and wire wraps and shit. But I was like, man, they're like these agates are special. They're all super old and like they're valuable. Like there's a lot of value in it. I was like, I need to learn how to set them in something that's adequate. You can't just wire wrap
give it the quality it deserves. Right, frame it the way it deserves to be framed. Yeah.
So I watched a couple videos and realized that I only needed like a couple $100 to get all the tools to get started. Cool. Kind of. Yeah. And just went from there. And I don't make a ton. I don't like to do it so much to where I get like burnout on it.
Yeah, there is a fine line. You can't like. So that's why I approach any hobby, really. Like I struggle with burnout a lot. Just I think it's because I spread myself so thin between all the different things I do. It's just like I try not to overcompensate in one area or another, so I don't just absolutely collapse in on myself.
Yeah, it happens. It's definitely a thing to be aware of, but
it is as long as you're cognizant of it. I think.
It's been cool though. It's been a nice hobby to like. When I need to like just take a break from everything else, I'll go. Yeah. I like that. You're talking about sobriety, but one thing that helps me is having a lot of hobbies, having a lot of things to where it's like
idle hands is the devil's playground.
Yeah. So at any given time, I got something that I can go mess around with and fill time or whatever. And,
that's cool, man. But it is like, but you do a very high quality job with stuff.
Thanks.
It is impressive, and I guess me and Bolin were talking about that too. It's just like it's so interesting to me, like how so many of the musicians around here, like I like a crossover into so many different kind of the visual arts. There's different kinds of outlets, and it's cool. I know spoon art is becoming such a common thing. Like, I didn't even know about spoon art until I think it wasn't Railbird, it was Laurel Cove. Somebody was
probably Cotton Bakers.
There's something like that. Yeah, but I was like, this is pretty cool. I guess, but now it's like you see spoon art everywhere. I was like, where did this come from?
Well, you just have all this old silverware that our grandparents and great grandparents had, and it's like they're like, oh, let's repurpose that into something.
Yeah, it makes sense, and it is cool. It is pretty neat. But it's funny. But and I was also talking about like it's funny because I discovered Jack not through his music, but through a painting of John Prine I saw on Facebook, and I was like. Clicked on it and it led me to him, and I saw the rest of his collection. I think I saw a Sturgill on there, and I think one of his early ones was like it wasn't Charlie Crockett. I think it was Childers. I think anyway, but it was like I saw like the kind of painter he was, and then from that I discovered his music.
Right.
I kind of discovered his catalog, looked him up and stuff. Kind of funny how that works, though.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, and like you never go to a festival without seeing tents everywhere of the same people that are on stage, or I guess adjacent. Or musicians themselves are just, popping up with like art, prints, jewelry, anything. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, creative types, man. It's just there's something healing about creating something, and being able to take pride is a huge thing in human nature. Like I do it with everything. Like I also do a lot of construction work and stuff, and like being able to like do a job and like look back on it when I'm done and be able to be like prideful and making it happen. It's just it does so much for like your mentality and stuff like that. So
just creating for the sake of creating. I mean, it's like you contributed something to the space. It's pretty cool. But no, it is great, and definitely. Where can they find your jewelry at? We'll go ahead and give this a plug real quick. Or I guess you're kind of dabbling in it, I guess.
Honestly, like we've talked about going further into it, but honestly, just through Facebook. I just post when I have an extra piece that I just post it on Facebook, and it usually doesn't take long. Somebody will snag it up.
I know it's pretty hot, yeah.
So
Yeah, that's cool. Definitely keep an eye out. It's pretty neat. But yeah, so as far as your recovery and your sobriety and stuff, it like I said, it is an inspirational story. It has been a very overarching theme in your music and your songwriting and how you approach the creative process. So it is a wonderful thing to see. So I guess you're on your sophomore album. Are you currently working on a third or now? Okay, I know how far we were with that.
Yeah, I'm going back into the studio late February to track the last of it. So I've got 11 or 12 songs kind of halfway tracked for it. There's still a lot of work to go, but we're getting there.
Yeah, and I know like between your first album was great. Obviously, but it seems like your sophomore album was a little more
a lot of learning curves.
Yes, it was more refined. I'm not going to.
No, definitely.
It's not better. That's not the right word. It's like it's more refined. It's more precision, and kind of in like the way you deliver it in the message and stuff.
Yeah.
And like both albums are equally impressive. I guess which of the two are you most proud of? I guess the first one obviously has a sense of like I put this out here. The second one seems like it'd be like I put the first one out and then I'm proud of it, but now here's the second one. So what was the process of I guess releasing your second album, and how did it pit up against the process of the first one, and how did you feel about the end result? I guess is the one trying to.
Two totally different processes, but it's hard to say which one. Artistically speaking, I'm more proud of the second album because with anything you do in life, the longer you do it, the better you get at it. So I feel like my songwriting constantly grows, and but the first album, in its own right, up until then, I just played drums. I'd just been a drummer, and so taking that leap to put yourself out there it's a hard thing to do.
Man.
But once you jump, you're just out there and you're in it. So it's like, okay, sink or swim, But
no, I get it. It's
but they were honestly two very different processes. The first album, I didn't know near as much about the recording process. So we kind of did it. My band at the time was the Jenkins Twins, Josh Anglin. I think Josh Nolan came in and played on a song or two on that first album.
Josh plays with everybody.
Yeah.
He's such a floater, but he's so awesome.
But we kind of went into the studio on that one and just recorded everything live. No metronomes, no nothing, just recorded it live. And so the second album, I kind of wanted to take more of a producer role, I guess you'd say, and
more interactive approach. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
So instead of just going in and tracking everything all at once, I would go in, do a scratch version of the song, and then add bass and percussion, and then kind of build the song up to where I thought it needed to be, and then stop.
So you took a more, I guess, mathematical approach to it. Like you were really analyzing the structure and just very cool.
And a lot in that song, which I ended up having some issues, but originally the whole album kind of linked together, and on the CD it does. So like every song kind of goes into the next song. There's like little things in between.
I was going to say that there is some very you can see how they all kind of like they're a family of songs.
Unfortunately, on the record side of it, had to shorten it down a little bit to fit everything on a vinyl.
Right.
So it didn't make it on the vinyl, but
still didn't get one of your vinyls, by the way.
I
didn't get one at your sophomore release party. I think I didn't get an opportunity to, but yeah. Anyway, not the sidebar, but give me one.
Yeah, I got
I'm waiting on it.
I got you. I have to find some. I might have like two.
That's been my struggle. I can't find them.
2 or 3 somewhere. But most of those, what I have left is over in Europe right now.
Yeah. No, I remember I came to your sophomore release party there, and I kind of got a little embarrassingly spirited.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
No, it's funny. I was telling Josh, I was in the stage like screaming. It's like I had a little too much fun that night. But
that was a good night.
It was great. It was fun, man. It was an awesome show.
It's always weird, like if I did that show any day of the week, but put the pressure of it being a release show.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much pressure that adds on the artist to be like, oh shit, man, I better do shit right, whatever. But
yeah, a little more formal at that point, I guess. Yeah.
I was excited to get that album out, and I think highly of that album, which is rare for me because most of us creative type people,
self-critical,
absolutely. Yeah. And while there's a lot on that album that I'm like, I would never do that again, there's a lot on there that I'm really proud of, and so I'm excited to continue on this third album, and I feel like it's a step above that one, so I feel like all three of them are kind of like stepping stones to
just what shows your growth and development, and just as an artist and a creator and a producer. I mean, it's just you're growing. I mean, that's why I kind of like to kind of ask about the process of 1 through X, album X, because you can kind of see that that change being felt and seen, or whatever it may be. You can see that growth through each album. It's neat. But your second one was awesome, man. It was great, and you should be proud of it. It's a fantastic album.
That it's real hard sometimes to be like, because that first album, I'm like, there's so many things that I could have done differently, but I have to just leave it there because, like you said, it's like a moment.
Don't drive yourself crazy, man.
Yeah, it's just a piece of time from that moment, and but I think at someday I might re-record that album,
remaster it or something, or
just completely re-record it, or at least some of the songs off of it. Some of them not so much, but that first batch of songs were there was a lot of stuff I was going through at that time. I was still drinking quite heavily, and I was heading out of the relationship with my baby mother, and there's a lot there. I lost one of my best friends, two of my really good friends that were on that album, song wise. So there's a lot there that I wouldn't mind to go back and revisit someday and just see what happens,
Oh, for sure, man, and I guess I kind of had a similar trajectory in that respect. I think I actually just really kind of sat down and discovered your music as well, along with a lot of other music as I was going through my divorce. It was a very dark place, and the worst part about it, obviously we both have kids, but just kind of being there, not having that round the clock access to your kids, just
hard.
It does something to you, man.
Oh yeah.
And at the very beginning stages, trying to reconcile that, and it's tough, man. And I leaned on the bottle pretty in a pretty unhealthy kind of way.
Yeah.
But I think that's why a lot of your music connects, because I do empathize in a lot of ways, and it's I went through that struggle, I went through those trials, and went to the hospital, got out of the hospital, and been doing good ever since. But it's those struggles, though, they come out in your music, but they come out in such an authentic way. And I think especially for me, I do feel that, and I think it's what makes me appreciate it even more. It's honest. It's your music is very honest.
Thank you. Yeah, that's my goal, man. I was paying attention to y'all in Bolander's interview earlier, and he was mentioning how most everything that he writes is very personal, and I felt that because I'm the same way. I first got into music just writing my own songs because I found it to be a way to self-medicate in a way.
Yeah.
So honestly, with a guitar, I could sit on my porch and self-medicate for the rest of my life, and I could get just as much from it as if I released it. But
as long as that energy is channeled, the thing about it is it's got to have an outlet. If it doesn't, it can present in a very unhealthy way.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, and that was my problem. You just you sit there and you get two in your head, two in yourself. And isolation does way not anything good either. But
I'm good with isolation. But no.
And all that's happened during COVID too, so it was like
Right,
there was a lot of factors in play.
But I found out early on that that writing style of writing like personal stuff, just strictly on like your experiences, your past and things you've been through, reaches out to this certain market that's not like your mainstream market, but it's like it reaches out to people that, like you said, have been through the same thing, or might be going through hard times, and so that's my goal, is like if I can help to heal myself, and then somebody else can take something positive from that as well, then it's worth it to put the music out there.
It is, man, and it does help people. And I've said this on a previous episode. I can remember, I think it was. Told this to Jared Smith, but it's like whenever I was kind of going through that separation process and trying to navigate all that, just mentally and emotionally and spiritually, and there's one band in particular, Manchester Orchestra. I'm still a big fan of them, and I love them. And then as far as songwriting standpoint, just the power in the lyrics, the power of the music, just like the structure, they are unparalleled in that genre. It seems like that band specifically guided me through that process and navigating that process. Like now, as much as I love them still, I go back and listen to them, it just doesn't kind of have the same impact like it did back then. It's just like because there was a very, very deep need for me to hear that music.
It got you through that, and then once you passed it,
they're right there with me in that darkness. And getting out of it, it's just like they led me through it, and I have so much appreciation for them, as a band and an artist. And like I said, I always love that band, which I just can't listen to them on repeat like I used to, But it does something, man. And like everybody goes through darkness. I mean, it could be drugs, alcohol, it could be just anything.
Depression in general.
Depression, just but
like you said, we were talking earlier about Appalachia in general, deals with all these hardships, and we do have poor mental health here. I'm sure most everybody does, whether they realize it or not. So that's always throughout history came out in music. That music's a way to unite everybody, and kind of bring people together and
shared experience. Man. That's why bluegrass is such an impactful thing, man. And that's why it's as far as the genre goes, nothing has been more true and authentic than bluegrass, in my opinion. Just because look at how it's been traditionally carried out for so many years. I mean, it's like it rejects the idea of any like too much progressive change, even though they got new actors and new players and stuff. It still has that same sound, that same approach, and the same message and that same feeling, because that's so deeply ingrained in it. And it goes back so long, like so embedded in the culture, and I appreciate that too.
For sure.
But I'm all about shifts in the industry, growth, change, different kind of music, new creators, new artists. But there's something so endearing and rewarding about bluegrass is going to be bluegrass, no matter what.
I mean, you have your new grass and stuff, but
like Billy Strings, like I said, we were talking earlier. I love Billy Strings, but he's not really bluegrass. He's just a heck of a picker,
right? So like growing up in Powell County, having Meadow Green there was such a cool thing.
It's a hidden treasure, man. It's a gem in the
my entire life. Like, there's pictures of me there when I was just like a baby, and Allison Krauss holding me as a baby, from my family being at that show.
Palming too, man.
It's just wild, man. And one of the last handful of shows I went to there was before my papa passed away, and I love Doyle Lawson. I
love Doyle Lawson. Man.
Doyle Lawson is the coolest looking dude. Like, dude, he comes out and he just demands this.
He's so dapper too.
Just like the bedazzled suits and he just demands this, attention. You know what I'm saying? It's like when he's in the room and when he's on the stage, he
he has a presence.
Yeah, he has a way of like demanding this attention, and I think he's one of the greats, man. But
well, he certainly is. He's a living legend.
Yeah.
I got a funny story about. Sorry, not to.
No.
I actually saw at the last JD Crowfest, at the last Crowfest. He was Dole Lawson was the headliner, and Paul Williams. And I hung around the backstage, and after a set, and I had Lydia with me, it's my 7-year-old, and her music interests consist of Taylor Swift, and whatever's hot on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
But it's so. What was funny, like I brought her up on stage and I introduced her. I was like, "Go stand next to Mr. Lawson here." He's like, he's a legend. I was trying to explain to her, and she has this cute picture of her standing next to Doyle Lawson wearing a little cowboy hat and stuff. And I showed it to her later. I was like, "Listen, he is the Taylor Swift of bluegrass." I'm trying to frame it for you.
You'll probably appreciate it.
You'll see how significant this is one day.
Yeah, definitely.
It was neat, and he was such a cool. He was such a cool dude, and just accommodating to everybody, and shakes everybody's hand, takes a picture, and that's another great thing about that.
That's an Appalachian.
That's Appalachian
thing.
It's community. It's a community thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you wave at people when you drive by, and they're sitting on their porch, and it's just that kind of like hospitality, that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a cliche, but about the area, but it's not really a cliche. It's just a defining element. I mean, we are kind of a tight knit community, and everybody knows everybody waves at everybody, and we are in a way. What we have people that really don't like each other or something. We are still one big family, I'm just like,
if it came down to
it,
they'd be there,
Yeah, it's cool, man, and that is one of the reasons I love living here, and that's one of the reasons I wouldn't want to leave, and that's one of the reasons I refuse to raise my kids anywhere else, man.
Yeah. It's a special place.
It's home. It is.
We're lucky to be where we're from.
Yep, and we are. And everybody kind of goes through I'm getting out of town. So my wild roots, but everybody gets back here.
Yeah, there's nothing like a small town feeling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, it's great, man. But let's see, what time is it?
I don't know. We've been bullshitting.
I know. We can't go too far over. I was going to say, why don't you play a song and we can talk about it. Like I said, dealer's choice. I'll let y'all pick whatever you want to play, and kind of go into it a little bit.
I'll start off with 1,000 Miles or something like that. It's always been kind of one of those songs that it's definitely a song that I'd like to recut off that first album.
Yeah.
We were talking about that. It's just such a simple song to me, and it's one of the very rare songs that isn't fully personal. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like parts of it are, but parts of it, the vast majority of it, are just like an idea that was in my head. And
right.
I remember I went and I think I played in Huntington, West Virginia, and got really drunk up there, and had to make that 2-hour drive back,
Yeah.
And it was awful. And
through the mountains.
the whole way on the way home, I was kind of hearing this song in my head, and I got home and wrote it in like 10 minutes or so, and it's been there since. 1,000 miles from my home, the head full down, heart like stone. Miss my baby, Lord, I miss my wife. Playing these bars ain't much of a life. Mom called just the other day, said that Grandpa passed away. Well, I sat in silence, Lord, I hung my head, prayed to the skies for the tears that I shed. Know if you'd wait, honey, one more day. Well, I'm packing my bags and I'm on my way. By tomorrow night I'll be on the mountain parkway, 20 miles from my home, and the place that I'll stay. Know the wife and family said that they're missing me. Yeah, it won't be long till she's gone. It's hard being apart, but I know she's loved me from the start. But oh, if you'd wait, honey, one more day, packing my bags and I'm on my way. By tomorrow night I'll be on the mountain parkway. Yeah, 20 miles from my home, the place that I'll stay. Lord, 20 miles from my home, the place that I'll stay. Yeah, 20 miles from my home, the place that I'll stay.
It's great, man. That's one of my favorite you tracks, man.
Thanks, man.
I do. I like it. Usually, like when I introduce people to you, it's one of the ones I pull up for them. You know,
it's been a pretty strong song over the years, and I think when I recorded it, I didn't really even think it was worth a shit. I was like, oh, there's better stuff on this album, but it ended up probably doing the best off of that album. So, like I said, there's songs on that first album that I think I would like to re-record someday.
Yeah.
Just a completely different version, but record it from the producer aspect of like building the song up the way originally it was in my mind. You know?
Right.
So we'll see. That'll probably happen someday.
That's cool, man. So I guess that one surprised you, but it does. I mean, it kind of connects, and I know it has that one line about being away and like all the changes happening. Talking about Grandpa passing away and stuff, and that's just
yeah.
So it's a very emotionally driven song.
So some of those were true. I mean, honestly, a lot of the song was kind of like true emotions that I was feeling at the time.
Yeah.
I've just never been married. That's definitely not true in it, but
that's still like you're a storyteller, man. It's like I said, it's pretty sure Chris Knott didn't lose his wife in South Dakota, but it's still
yeah.
But no, it's a great song. It's a great story. Or North Dakota. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's actually
that's a great song, man. Chris Knott's one of the better songwriters of this generation.
And
just
underappreciated.
The way he can tell a story, man. Like he's got that knack that like Tyler does of being able to like tell a completely fictional story, but you feel like you're sitting right in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man. He, like the visuals that he weaves, and just like the the way that he words and just and how he delivers it. It's just Chris Knott was certainly one of my heroes, influentially writing and stuff. And it's just the way he does it. I mean, well, he has the song called "Not the River," not Wilson. Like chucking chucking Wilson in the river, but the River Zone. It's the one where he's talking about growing up on the river and then fighting the dam. And it was like word for word is like it lined up so much with like my own family history. Like growing up on the North Fork of the Red River, fighting the dam in the 60s and 70s, overcoming that much adversity and triumphing, and then like the generationals, just like of just love and growth and development, and I don't know, like that song. That's how I discovered Chris and I was that song. But I had such a deep connection to that one. Then I got to the rest of his discography, and North Dakota, man, is that's a great example because that is obviously he didn't lose his wife in the snowdrift in North Dakota.
But I think he did spend some time living in North Dakota.
Oh, you can hear the
But yeah, man, just that dude's catalog is pretty unreal.
And he is underappreciated.
Dude. If he would have been born and let's set him at 21 years old in 2016.
Yeah,
dude would be at the top of the world right now.
Or if he was in Sturgill's class, I think he would have wrote that way.
He was a little before his time, where he didn't fit into '90s country, but he fits in well with what's going on right now today. But now the dude's like lived a whole life, and he's got his own demons and stuff that he fights, and a lot of that's probably from his career having so much possibility, but just never truly taken off.
It is tragic, man. He kind of he fell between Yoakum and Sturgill. Like he was right in that pocket where like he just
early 2000s, and man, you know how it was in the early 2000s. Like country was a thing, but it wasn't. It wasn't the time for country, man.
Beach country, man. That's what we made the transition from, like that nice traditional country sound to like beach country, and then beach country gave way to bro country, and now here we are.
Yeah, but I'm a firm believer that if that dude had been born 20 or 30 years after what he actually was, he would be a household name.
I totally agree, and it's like I said, one of my upcoming guests, God willing, I'll work it out soon, is Reed Fields. I
know Reed well.
Tours with them, writes with them, collaborates with Chris all the time, and hoping that Reed might be able to connect with. I'm not going to ask, but it's just that'd be kind of cool if that happened. But Reed's a phenomenal talent too, man. He's a great writer.
Yeah, Reed's a really good writer.
Oh, he's awesome. I've seen him a few times. And he played at Toads not too long. That's actually when I actually picked his ear a little bit and kind of invited him on, and and it's a really, really cool dude. But yeah, man, it's Chris is something else, and certainly, it is tragic that he just didn't fall at the right time. I think
it's kind of the same way as Prine. Prine was born in the wrong time too, because he got no appreciation when he was in his prime of life.
Like Dylan eclipsed him, probably. I think Bob Dylan.
it didn't fit in to what was going on at the time. But now, John Prine's just a legendary artist, that
he's the godfather of this whole scene, man.
Yeah.
Like I'll always credit him as being the guy. He's the top of the pyramid.
It's funny, like when we go out on the road and stuff, and if somebody ever requests a John Prine song, we'll just do like an hour straight of John Prine songs. Just I
respect it.
Because it's like, oh, y'all like John Prine? Okay, let's do this shit. I like John Prine too.
I mean, they're looking for paradise, then you hit them with like everything else, all the beat tracks too. That's pretty cool.
Dude, my top Prine song is "Hello" in there, and because it's one of his sad songs. So I've always related to it a lot more. Because I'm a fan of sad music. Like, it doesn't make me sad to listen to sad music. I just like it. Like, I like hearing somebody else's emotions. Like, their emotions can in turn make my emotions feel a little better.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's what it boils down to. Is like sad music is usually the most honest music, and and as a music fan, that's what I look for. I look for authenticity. Like that's why I have some criticism for my 7-year-old listening to Taylor Swift. Not because she's listening to Taylor Swift. It's a catchy music. It's dance music. It's fun. It's just she's 7 years old.
Taylor Swift's written a shit ton of songs, dude. Like,
and
you got to give her credit.
I do give her credit in that respect, but I don't know. It seems like in the later years it's gotten a little more shallow.
Of course. Yeah. Well, there's it's kind of more out of her hands. It's more just about the industry now. But like in her earlier years,
she was a great artist.
She was writing about what she knew, and it was breakups. You know what I'm saying? Like,
she was a teenage girl. I mean,
it worked, man. She's one of the biggest artists of all time.
She wrote that way. Now she's a billionaire.
Yeah.
I swear the NFL's fixing the Super Bowl on behalf of her, though. I know it's happening. Sure. I know it's happening. Oh, Travis Kelce. I wish they just break up already so the NFL get back to normal.
Yeah, man.
That's a different tangent. So, anyhow, but yeah, man, it's you can feel sad music, and that's why I'm a fan of sad music. Also, it's just there's more authentic, but at the same time, one of my favorite Prawn songs is "In Spite of Ourselves." Yes. It's such a cutesy little song, but at the same time, it has the same level of authenticity and honesty.
Yeah. Prawn had a good way of taking a funny song and making it was very authentic to who he was as a person. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
I think that's probably harder to do, like to come out here and like do some Roger Miller shit and be kind of goofy and off the wall is a lot harder than just like being serious. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, he walked that line. Well, I'm gonna say walked the line. He defined that line.
Yeah,
he did good, man. And it was so tragic. Like he was on my bucket list. I was going to see Prom, but COVID. COVID was COVID. That's just it is what it is. But I do regret not getting a chance to see him. I had an opportunity to see him in Louisville and take my grandmother who passed away. A few years ago. She loved Prom too, and I wish I'd just done it. Looking back, that's one of my biggest regrets is not taking her to Louisville to see Prom. But yeah, man.
But his music lives on.
Oh yeah, he never dies, man. And he'll be an influence. For the duration of the existence of music.
For sure.
But yeah, if Mount Rushmore wise, he's certainly up there. He's on my Mount Rushmore as like the first one. But let's go ahead and pick another one here. So I don't want to go too far over on you. But yeah, dealer's choice. Do the next one. We'll talk about it.
I'll try this song. This could go over, or it could crash and burn. But I wrote this song the other day. So I grew up. Some of my fondest memories was being bored in church, and I say that because my granny was a huge influence in my life, and like I spent a lot of time with her because my parents were busy. They were working, trying to make something for us. But in turn, I spent the majority of my time with my grandmother, and so we went to church and stuff. And as a young kid, you're sitting in church, and it's just like the most boring thing, No,
I think everybody can.
And being me, like I was the kid that was like bouncing off the freaking walls or whatever, So it was like extra hard for me.
But how many goose pinches did you get in church? You're like,
But I do remember that, like, some of my fondest memories and some of my first memories of music came from that.
Yeah.
Because I was lucky. We went to a decent church that wasn't too preachy. And they played a lot of cool hymns and stuff. And so I kind of developed my love for music through that.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wrote this song. I kind of took myself back to that place of being a kid in church and growing up and reliving those times with her. I don't have a name for it. I was knee-high to a woolly worm, didn't think too much in depth. Just wanted to go out and run the yard where the weeping willows wept. Granny'd pass me over a minute, hoping I'd sit still. But there wasn't no padding on our pew. I remember how that felt. When that preacher took to praying, I knew my favorite time had come. Singing and a pick, and I'd play that pew just like a drum. It got down in my bones, maybe somehow in my blood, like a river flowing through me. It's where I found my first love. And that amazing grace, and how sweet the sound. When I cross over Jordan, Lord, my spirit I'll lay down. You take me as I am, though I'm broken, full of sin. But my whole life I've been haunted by them heavenly highway hymns. After church on Sunday morning, it seemed like half the town would come over to my granny's, grab a bite and sit around. Well, all us kids were playing, yeah, somewhere by the creek. It was a time I will remember, yeah, a memory I'll keep. And that amazing grace, and how sweet the sound. When I cross over Jordan, Lord, my spirit I'll lay down. You can take me as I am, though I'm broken, full of sin. But my whole life I've been haunted by them heavenly highway hymns. Heavenly highway hymns.
It's beautiful, man.
Thanks.
That was good. I mean, you don't have a title for that yet.
No, not yet, but I'll make one when I get to the studio in late February.
Hey, that's great, man. A lot of good visuals, very relatable story. I mean, that's the story of, a lot of, that was my story, growing up.
Yeah. It was for a lot of us, man.
Yeah.
I got these ideas in my head for all these songs in the studio, and like that one of my favorite songs that I can hear like it was yesterday. I can hear, my granny was by far not a singer.
Yeah.
But everybody did it in church, what I'm saying? Like they were going to sing. And I can still, to this day, it's been a long time, I can still hear her voice on, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to find a way, I think, to medley that onto the end of that song, where it's like its own little instrumental, but like a way for that song to come out into that little instrumental and then flow into another song. You know what I'm saying?
That's cool, man. I can't
things like that. It's the funnest part about music. Like, creating stuff in a studio it's where it's at for me. Like that's what I like.
It's cool, man. Like I said, the visuals too, like a knee high to a woolly worm just out the gate. Just like that's pretty.
And
cool.
It's funny too. Like that to me, like in my head, like it's knee high to a grasshopper. But it's like,
but this is regionally.
But it's funny because like, does a woolly worm even have a fucking knee? You know what I'm saying? Like probably not. But it was just kind of funny in my head at the time.
No, it's a fun. Yeah,
it was just like a little thing in there that I was like, oh, I'll know that woolly worms probably don't have knees. Nobody else probably gonna think about it,
No, it's cool. No, like I said, it's a fun visual, and like talking about like not the unpadded pews, man. I remember the unpadded pews. Yeah.
It's kind of like this chair right now. Like after you sit in a while, and like your ass starts to go numb. And
you can't help if you're a kid. Yeah, you're gonna be moving, man.
Yeah. And all the grandparents always had some kind of like Werther's or mint or some shit that they'd be giving you,
Yeah, peppermint. My uncle would always give me baseball cards. He gave me a new. He gave me a baseball card every something.
That's good, uncle, man.
Yeah. Well, John Combs. He's a teacher. Yeah. Coach. Yeah, man. No, that's great. I'm looking forward to that. Hearing the final product of that cut and weaving in that hymn. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Got this third album's kind of going to be a little bit of tribute to that and a little bit to my youngin. There's a couple, 2 or 3 songs on there that are specifically for her. You know what I'm saying? Which it seems like any album I put out, there's a song that's to my grandparents or to Maggie, and I've been sitting on a lot of these songs, and I just want to put them on,
Yeah, just get them out there.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. Well, I guess you're ever telling Bowlander. I mean, that's connected to that more than anything. Like that one more ride, is like it's such a. It reminds me of Lydia. Obviously, that's the point. It's talking about his little girl, and yeah, man, it's definitely connected to the stuff about the kids. Like I said, I'm dad first before anything else. So it's
one of the songs we tracked in the studio. I wrote it when Maggie was just a baby, man. Like just because that was my first experience of being a dad. There was a shit ton of learning curves. I didn't know I was doing it. Stressed me out a lot, which in turn led to any free time. I was like getting drunk, Mariah. I'm going to drink, and like I didn't know how to handle it. And
having a kid's stressful.
But there was a song that I wrote back then. It was one of the first handfuls of songs, but I didn't put it on that first album. And I ended up pulling it out and kind of reworked it a little bit. And it's essentially about, like her being born, in those first days and stuff. And
terrifying first days.
Yeah. And so I ended up reworking this song, and by the end of the song, like I'm trying to get her to come in the studio with me, because by the end of the song, like the bridge kind of takes you through, like, one day you're going to have a family all your own. You're going to find yourself saying the same shit that I'm saying right now.
Right. Yeah.
But we came up with this really cool thing in the studio. We found this piece of shit, like kids' toy piano. One that just sounds like dog shit. You know what I'm saying? And in the little instrumental break, we played that.
No kidding.
And so like, so it's like, I don't know. I'm really liking
that's
that
cute
song.
though, man. I like that.
So there's a few that's going to be specifically for her.
Awesome, man. I can't wait to hear it. So I do connect to those songs, pretty significantly. But it's great. I'm glad to hear that. That's a very cool concept direction for you next time. Kind of taking that approach and stuff. I'm looking forward to it. Like
kind of like
telling your own story.
Kind of like a little letter in a sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's cool, man. But yeah, we are coming up on an hour, so you want to do another song real quick and just I like to let the artist do about 3 songs, kind of showcase their stuff.
I'll play a different new one. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
There it is. Hell yeah. Alright, I got her now. You're calling me last night at 3 a.m. I heard you're asking where I'm at and how I've been. Well, I thought surely seen the end. But when I get back on my feet again, You said I only led you on and on, but I had to see if our flame was really gone. I know you thought I was one, but honey, it's over and done. And I guess you could say that I brought it on myself. I've been fighting all my demons, been fighting mental health. Truth of the matter, I just can't stand fight all these insides, feelings, another dark lonely night, another insides, feeling. Maybe I'm no good at understanding, yeah, just how someone else might feel. Yeah, I'm selfish to a fault, that ain't all I've got. You know, I just can't get my heart healed. And I know it's right there, it's chiseled out in stone. Maybe I just need a reason why I wind up alone. And I know I can't be something that I'm not, but all my answers around the corner have I given all I've got, for all my answers around the corner. Hey, we got there, man.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, that's the song, man. That's gonna be one that's gonna get some lever. I mean, get some traction, brother.
Yeah, I like that tune a lot.
Yeah,
man.
that's awesome. I like everything about it, man. The licks, just the progression, the way you carry your voice like that. The way it's all straight. It's a great song.
Thank you.
I appreciate you introducing new music here too.
Yeah,
man. It's like, it means a lot. Like,
I'm all about it.
Like we're an infant podcast, We're trying to.
Yeah.
Like I said, Sarah Beth kind of debuted a couple songs too when she was here, and it means a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a cool thing, man. Like I like debuting songs on things like this versus other areas, just because it's kind of like a cool way for me to put that song out there, and it's a cool thing for you too, because maybe it's something that's not out on the internet yet, and it can kind of help to draw some attention that way,
Yeah, and I'll certainly kind of market it that way too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just from that standpoint, but it's an honor that you do it, and I appreciate that. And that song's gonna get some wheels, man.
Thanks.
It's gonna go places.
I hope so.
That's awesome.
I hope it takes me back over to Europe.
I'd say you got plenty of trips to Europe ahead of you. But yeah, brother. Let's go ahead and throw your plugs out here. So where can people find you? I know you're on Spotify, YouTube.
Spotify, any of the streaming platforms. I'm not doing a website right now because not to get too in depth with it, but like I've spent all these years like running this thing as like a business, and I'm just kind of over running it like a business. Like I want to run it like art, you know what I'm saying?
You don't want to get burnt out on it.
Yeah. Like I just want to make art and put it out there.
Respect it.
if I can find a way on this third album, I'm just going to make it free.
Okay. Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Cool.
I want to make music, and I want to go hang out with my kids and coach softball, and I want to do that. So I want to veer away from trying to run this thing like a business, which I've done for so many years, and it's done me well. You know what I'm saying? Financially and getting to travel and all that. And I'll still travel, but we got a few irons in the fire. Me and WD are starting we tour together all the time. Yeah, we're best buds, and we tour together all the time. So we're kind of in the same boat of just wanting to have fun with this. You know what I'm saying? And so we're kind of starting the Boyd and Miller, and it's just going to be our band. Cool. that we just both do songs in. Oh, man. And then a little more info. Also, may or may not be starting a stoner rock band with him and Gino.
Really? That's a heck of a trio, man.
So, I think 2025 is going to be the year to just have some fun, man. I have fun in creating music and putting it out there. And if I can, I'm just going to put it out there. And I don't care about making money off of it. I just want it to be out there.
Art for the sake of art, man.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, but I'm a fan. However you put it out there, I'm going to absorb it. I'm going to
any of your streaming platforms, and you can find my music. Just no website for right now.
Oh, it's cool, man. And like I said, I am looking forward to more to that. I'd love to have you and WD in the studio together. I think it'd be cool to pick y'all's brains together.
He's really loud, so you'd have to turn his mic down a lot.
I've seen him live a couple times. I'm a fan.
That dude's from Miami, where you have to talk loud. You ever been around Cuban people?
I was about to say, yeah, the Cubans. You're definitely got to talk over them.
You got to talk loud if you want to get anything out there. But yeah, that'd be great, man.
I'd love to.
Stuff like that would be fun as hell.
Yeah, floated by him. I think it'd be really cool to have like a session here with both of you guys.
Yeah,
Gino too, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But yeah, brother, man. But listen, I appreciate you coming out. Like I said, you're an old buddy, and we go way back. But I'm proud of you. You're killing it out here
as well, man. We appreciate what you're doing, and I wish you all the luck. And I hope. I think you got one of the coolest podcast names out there.
Like I said, all credit to my wife, man. She came up with it. Like as soon as it left her mouth, I was like,
It's gold, man. Yeah. I hope this podcast. I know y'all are just kind of starting it out, but. It's got potential. Just keep rolling with it, and yeah,
sir. That's all about. It's all about the grind. But yeah, man. Like I said, I'm just thankful to be part of the space and thankful to be able to talk to people like you. Like I said, however, if it turns into a job, that's fine. But at the same time, I'm just out here having fun, and
that's what it's all about.
I enjoy hanging with you guys, man. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming out, and just look him up, Spotify, YouTube, socials, just anywhere to get you, and just. Yeah, man. Come back anytime, and bring WD next time.
I will. Like I said, we'll plan something out, man.
I think it'd be neat. I'd like to pick his brain a little bit.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. Episode 5. It's a wrap. And like I said, we still got some big guests lined up for February, March, and sky's the limit. So, another thing I'm fortunate of is have a lot of friends in this space, and if I can show them to you, I'm definitely going to find a way to do it. So. Thank you for tuning in, and have a good night.